Okay. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to our webinar today. Welcome to all of you there in India, here from South Africa. Those of you who've joined who do know me, have met me before, you met me at the India Professional Beauty Competitions just over 2 years ago. And it's just an absolute pleasure to be on air with you guys again and to be able to share some information and some knowledge with you guys. So welcome to all of you that have joined us. Hello. And I'd like to say hello and welcome to Tracey Owgan.
Hi there.
Tracey is a highly skilled, knowledgeable nail technician with years of experience behind her. She has attained her master levels in educating nail technology and is a well-known and acclaimed nail artist, an amazing educator in South Africa. She's also won numerous competitions, both locally and internationally, and she's incredibly skilled in what she does. I've known Tracey for a number of years now, and she's always been a great support to me with the Professional Beauty South Africa competitions and has judged alongside me. But I'm going to hand over to Tracey now. And Tracey, we're going to be discussing perfecting your sculpting skills and just striving for that next level in nail enhancements. So, you know, before we get there, I'd just like you to please tell everybody a little bit more about yourself, what it is that you do and how long you've been in the industry.
Okay, thank you, Sanat. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're joining us all the way from South Africa. Yes, I've been in the industry almost 20 years. In the beginning, before that, I was interior decorator, and then I went into skincare and nutrition, and I really fell in love with learning more about skin and more about, the human body. And what really got me invested in it so much was I was able and very privileged to go to America to the laboratory where they actually made up the vitamins and the skincare. So I was able to see and meet the scientists behind there, see the laboratory, see how the product was actually processed. And that was a starting point in my journey I never knew would continue on today at that point. And so it was all about raw ingredients, integrity of ingredients, integrity of how product was developed. And when we came back to South Africa, we were traveling a lot throughout Africa, Mozambique, Botswana, Namibia, and people said to us, why don't we open a skincare clinic and salon instead of doing nutritional talks and skincare, remotely, or mobilely, I should say. And so what we did is I went and studied nail technology, actually at that stage, beauty technology, and my mom she was a qualified hairdresser and beautician. So we went to college, went back, she redid her studies, updated herself, and she's like, why don't we do nails? And I was really not interested. I thought nails were for people, sorry to excuse what I'm saying. At that stage I was uninformed. I thought it was for just a bored housewife, someone that was not really had a further education, and being from a professional industry, I was like, no. You can do nails to my mom, but I don't want to do nails. I'll do facials, we'll do body treatments, do nutritional talks. Anyway, my mom could back me up in everything. So I went out of duress and did nails with her on a course. And I said, so great, I'll do art because I've always loved art. But you build the nails, I'd rather stick with skincare and beauty treatments and body treatments. And what happened is, in the process, while she was doing nails, we started feeling sick and like weird feelings in our body. And she went on holiday and there was no nails being done, and then those feelings went away. And when she came back again, the same feelings reoccurred. So we realized it had something to do with the product we were using, or the ingredients within the product we were using. So we went and we found a brand. In that stage, we were using a really good brand, and we went and found another brand who didn't have this methacrylic acid and some of the ingredients, the MMAs that were in the product that she was using at that stage, and those feelings went away. So that led me into, okay, there's more to this than meets the eye. Let me do some more investigation into nail industry, and the company we were working with that time as well, an international company. I learned so much from them, and they also very cleverly brought out a nail artist with them to South Africa. And I was like, wow, you can actually do this with nail products. And that's where I fell in love with acrylic, and also 3D acrylic work. So that's kind of where my passion started. And 3 weeks later, we were off to Europe, and we became an international distributor for that company. And luckily, and I'm very fortunate to be able to have traveled to Europe every year, numerous times a year, for the past 18 years, and get to know the industry a whole lot better. And that's where my passion grew from the industry.
So who would have thought so many years later you'd be so passionate about nails, when it all started with just skincare, you know, an absolutely amazing journey. But at least you've had all that amazing background that I think really taught you so much more about the industry and about nails, and it just being nails, you know. So that really is incredible, Tracey. Tracey, you've traveled quite a bit, and you've worked with some really great and really well-known international nail experts. Who has been your biggest influence in your career, and how has that affected you in your career as a nail technician and educator?
Well, I've been really blessed. As you said, I've worked with many well-known nail artists, renowned nail artists from all over the world, and in many techniques within the industry as well. But I think my greatest influences were David and Stephanie Fowler. They really got me on the path of falling in love more with nails, and especially with sculpting. Before I met them, I hated sculpting. I'm like, no enhancement, that's not for me. I will do my 3D work, build my 3D characters, my mixed media, 3D, as you know, I'm passionate about that. And let me rather stay there and not move out my comfort zone. So for me, that was meeting them and having them as mentorships, and to see what you could actually develop, for me, was absolutely incredible. And I think they were the ones that mentored me and put me through the journey of sculpting, and allowing me to fall in love with sculpting and nail enhancements.
It's amazing, Tracey, but that didn't just come just like that. It came with a lot of hard work as well, and
Yes.
some real thorough, rigorous and extensive and intensive training to get where you are now. Tell us a little bit more about the training and the experience you've had with regards to training to get you to where you are right now.
Yeah. I remember David telling me to set a form, and I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I'm like, and he was like, I just couldn't get it in my mind. And he made me put the form on 100 times, put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. And that's perfect. Take it off, do it again, take it off. And then he made me teach the entire class of educators. And I was like, okay. So I think I can set a form in my sleep, which is quite cool. But with the training, that's so important. It's all about practice. And then
practice makes perfect.
Absolutely. And I think education is huge. And the type of education that you have. Boot camps are huge. I've been through intensive boot camps with David and Stephanie, and also previously with other educators. But with them, I think it just transforms you. You go in there, and as I mentioned in my last talk with Professional Beauty, it's all about these boot camps that take you from where you are, and they break you down into absolutely like the raw form of yourself. It's like building a chapel. If you visit, like when I love to, when I'm visiting Europe, see castles and churches, cathedrals. And if you're looking at a cathedral, it's all about the architect or the artist. They work together, obviously. It's about the details of the details of the details. And it's all about that. And if you looked at a stained glass window, it's about taking that beautiful piece of glass, shattering those glasses into little pieces, and then building up this new creation, this beautiful creation with so many different elements. And I think that's what boot camps do. So, and boot camps are really hectic. They are crazy insane, where you work from like 7 in the morning. And you just work, basically having short tea breaks, short lunch breaks, short dinner breaks. Even sometimes there's no lighting, there's no clocks, you don't know the time. You leave at 10:30, 11 at night, and then you're still given essays to do. You still have to learn your theory during the evening and the night. So you're basically getting 2 hours sleep a night for a week. So it was really fun to find out in yourself what your bootcamp and intensive training can do for yourself as a person to move you to another level you never thought you could possibly be in, which is quite amazing. And it shows you as well what can break you and make you. And you know, they do crazy things like turn the temperature down to freezing and do all types of things, starve you and do all crazy things, but it's really worth it in the end. And I recommend an intensive training. It just transforms your life.
Absolutely. Is David listening in on this?
I have no idea.
With all the intensive boot camp that they've put you through. I know we've always caught up afterwards, Tracey, and you've always told me about your boot camps, and it's always so interesting to hear about them. And I know you've said that they've sometimes brought you to the point of tears even.
Oh, yes, people cry. I've cried. I remember Tracey Lee and myself sitting in the class both crying, and you have people leaving the room, and like Emma Harris and I in the last boot camp were joking. We're like, okay, let's see who's going to cry first. And it was like in about 20 minutes into the boot camp, it was already a lady near us crying. So it's really cool. It's really fun.
Well, not cool when you're crying, but I suppose afterwards it's really worth it, you know, worth going through all of that.
Yes, and listen to the news at the next level.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Tracey, how important is proper education and training in being able to improve and perfect your nail enhancement application skills? And where does a nail technician just starting out begin?
I think a nail technician starting out, she should begin by not following and learning on YouTube, because there are so many girls today who learn on YouTube and they think that is a great way of education, which is not. We all know how edited our YouTube videos actually are. And you need to find, it's really important to find a good school, a good academy that has an international backing to it is really important. Also, for someone starting out, they need to check out the educator training. When last did the educators do exams? Because that's huge. I mean, for me as an international educator, we have to do our exams every single year to redo our exams. As you know, technology changes monthly, and there's always advancements within products and within training. So you need to start there as looking at a great academy, looking at a great product. Products is so important as starting out as a new nail tech. And investigating the product and knowing what to look for in products is really important, and to look for in the training and the backing afterwards that comes with that training and that support.
So, you know, for that person starting out who's never done nails before, who's got no experience in the industry, you know, what are the most important things they should be looking for in a training academy or a nail training school, or someone that's going to be, you know, training them and taking on that journey there? Because that's going to be really important that they do that in the right way.
Yes, yeah, they have to be accredited. Make sure that there's accredited academy, that the educators are accredited. As I said, they redo their exams, they're kept up to date with technology, and that they as academy keep their students and their clients up to date with all the latest techniques, the latest product enhancements, and latest launches of products. So that's really important too, I feel. And a lot of people don't do that. They look at the price of a course, but they don't investigate the product that's in the course, how much of the product they're getting, and what that kit contains, and the duration of the courses, what's involved in actually educating that student, because there's education and then there's education. And that's really something they need to look at. That's really important. So it's not, the price is not always there. I mean, you can get a great kit that's a moderate, reasonable price, and you can pay a lot of money, which I've seen all the time, that people pay so much money for kits, and at the end of the day, they're getting sample jars and they're getting a few hours of training a day just because there's the name of behind an academy, you know. So you need to do a proper investigation into the investment that you will make into that training. And
absolutely
in the future, and if it will give you an international certification, which is also important at the end of the day.
Yeah, very, very important. Tracey, how long should a duration of a proper course be? I mean, we know that there's courses that They offer you 2-3 day courses that you can actually, you know, and well, off you go. You can now be a nail tech.
Correct.
I mean, I know that that's not possible. So what is your
Absolutely.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of academies offering 2-day or 3-day training, and that's impossible to learn everything correctly. That's just doing shortcuts. And then the educator on that, I believe, is taking you for a ride. So you want to be able to have at least a 2 to 3 week course. And then you have to be able to go and do a portfolio at home, be evaluated on that portfolio, and come back and do your exams. And then there needs to be a revised training and perfection training to help you to grow. And that education is done in stages. And not stages of only 3 days. So I think your very basic level stage would be a 2 to 3 week course. And then you go away, you master what you do, and then you move to your next level. So it's about mastering the technique that you're starting with to be able to grow into your next level. That's really important. And that support is always there from day one. But you cannot learn to do nails in 3 days, I'm sorry.
Absolutely not. And then from there onwards, Tracey, I mean, your education, it doesn't stop, does it? Does it ever stop? At what point,
never.
You know, is enough
Never
enough?
stop. There's never enough. People say, oh, I know how to do that. But, you know, when we're talking about nail enhancements as well, it's about, as I said earlier, the details, and making sure that what you're doing, you're growing at, because there's always new advancements and the technique of putting a form on, for example, and setting a form. There is a complete technique in setting a form. You don't just set a form. So you need to, there's something about that your educator needs to know as well, is how to set it correctly. I get so many students that do not know how to sculpt and create a great enhancement because they're terrified. They have fear of it, and they aren't able to do it because their educator was unable to do it. And the educator doesn't actually understand on how to bring forth the details of what they need to tell you about and how to do it. I mean, David's asked us many times, okay, how do you do this? And you tell them, for example, like, how are you filing the nail right now, for example? And he's like, but you're not telling me, and you're not telling me, and you're not telling me, you know, and it's all about knowing. Not just about technique, her hand placement, and the product placement, everything, the height of your chair. It goes into much more detail than just setting a form or placing products onto a natural nail plate.
Yeah,
and it's also about the quality of the product. The quality of the product at the end of the day. That's a huge, huge importance.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Tracey, I remember when I started out many years ago. I've been in the industry, you know, for many years, just over 30 years now. So when we first started out doing nail enhancements, they were like quite thick with no real requirements as to form, structure, shape. You know, a nail was a nail. As long as you had long nails on, you know, it was great. But now we know nails has advanced so much, products, technology, you know, the skills and the techniques that you use to actually create nail enhancements with has just evolved phenomenally over the years. And it's really changed the way that nail enhancements are being looked at the way they're being constructed. Correct. What are some of the advancements or the major advancements you've seen? And what do you look for in a good quality professional product? You spoke about it just now, and you said it's really important to make sure that you have got a good product that you're working with. It's not just your skill. You can be a very, very skilled nail tech. However, you know, how much of that is up to your product as well?
Yep, the product is of huge importance, you know. The quality of the product at the end of the day, as well as the technique, is what makes up that enhancement. So you want to look for a product that's a quality product. You want to look for ingredients that are not, they're filled with allergens that are going to irritate your skin, first of all, and compromise the integrity of that natural nail plate or the surrounding soft tissue. So you want a product that has really got a lot of development into it, not only, you know, just slap bang together or got from China. You want to have a product that has got rigidity in it, that's got toughness in it, that's got flexibility in it, and that's durable and holds onto that natural nail plate, but it keeps the integrity of that natural nail plate. That is so, so important. You also want to, when you're looking for a monomer, for example, have a high performance monomer, because you're linked to your polymer, which will give you color stability, which is important. It will allow you with your mix ratio to work, and your control of your mix ratio. That's really, really important. You don't want yellowing of your product or surface breakdown. You want to be able to take that product and have it shine into a high shine without scratches, without breaking during and cracking during the month. You don't want a product that is too hard on that natural nail plate. There needs to be all of those features put into the product. Also, when it comes to terms of even in form of gel, or even acrylic, you want to look that they've got self-leveling properties and self-leveling stabilizers in it, so that you're not fighting with that product when you're working with it. The product is working with you. That is really important. And that the viscosity in the gels is even, as I said, no yellowing and no air bubbles, no lifting. You know, you just want that durability and that lasting. And even working with the brush, that's your most important tool. And so many people are like, when I'm doing demos out there and we hold our workshops for new students, they will say to us, wow, your brush, what size brush are you using? Or how much does your brush cost? And I'm like, well, it depends what I'm doing. So anything from 800 Rand to 2,000 Rand. It depends what I'm doing on that day. And they are like, 2,000 Rand? I can go down the road and buy one for 80 Rand. And, you know, so your brush is your most important tool, like a hairdresser with her scissors. She's not going to buy an 80 Rand pair of scissors to cut your hair. And you want a brush as well that's Sable Kalinsky brush, that's maybe got red sable in it too. And you also want the ferrule to be pressed. You want the brush to have enough flexibility as well as stability in it, so that your brush is not too flexible. You're able to have perfect product control. You're able to build a beautiful smile line, have beautiful products work at your cuticle area. You want to be able to work really well in convex as well, and that's also important when choosing a brush. And even doing an enhancement in terms of forms, you get forms and you get forms. So you want to look at the quality of the form you're using in terms of the paper, the aluminium they're using, the adhesiveness of the form. So that once you have set that form onto her nail, that is not going to come apart. It's not going to move. There won't be gaps. That you've got a perfect convex and concave at the end of the day, because once you place that form, you have to check your convex, and that's really, really important. And you know, you don't want to be fighting with the form, fighting with the product, getting your brush clogged up with products at the end of the day. You want a brush that will enable you to be able to work, even with gel. You want a brush that will enable you to work, not having to press the product so hard, that will just help the product to flow correctly onto that surface that you're working on. So that's hugely important as far as I'm concerned. And you're not going to come back. You're not going to get comebacks if you're using a good quality tools, as long with good quality products. And also product knowledge and the ingredients that's inside that product knowledge is of massive importance, huge importance.
Yeah, I think, Tracey, you've really mentioned some very valid and very important things that all go hand in hand with one another, you know, with regards to the training, the products, the tools you're using, and everything. It just all goes together. You can't just have one of those elements being correct and the rest not.
Yes.
Over the years, we've already said, you know, there's been a lot of advancement with product technology and things like that. And we've experienced working with different ingredients. I mean, many years ago, MMA was one of the first. The methyl methacrylate was one of the very first acrylates in monomers, and it eventually became banned because it was not a safe ingredient to be using. Right. But since then, there's been other evolvements as well with regards to ingredients in products. What have some of those been? What are the ingredients that nail techs should be being careful of that can actually cause allergies or that will affect their products quite greatly?
Yeah, I think they have to look at their setting time. You don't want a product that's, you know, in terms of your monomer and that you want and your polymer. A lot of people don't even understand that your polymer comes from your monomer, you know, and they mix products up. So they they buy products from different brands, which I think is your first key ingredient, that you want to be able to using a product from the same brand line. And you don't want something filled with a lot of allergens and too much HEMA, as we were saying. And also you want to look at your ingredients within your gel and your ligama, and you want to check out that when your gel, for example, is curing, that you're getting a full cure from your gel. Because a lot of times they put ingredients or the quality of the raw ingredients that they're using into the gels may not cure correctly, right? And then your client can get allergic reactions to that. And if there's undercuring in terms of your LED lights as well, not just with your products, that when you're, as a nail technician, that's when you're filing, it's important that you're not filing, because you can breathe, even with acrylic and MMA, as we said before, you're breathing that in, and that's sitting on your lungs. So, and also flooding the cuticles, flooding your soft tissue surrounding your natural nail plates with products that is of questionable quality as well, can lead to skin irritation and then lead to allergic reaction as well as respiratory problems. And you don't want that at the end of the day. And that is really, really important. So you want to have a product, as I said, that's international accredited. A company as well that's really good at that, they have a laboratory, that they have scientists behind it, where they've got a scientist developing the product, and it is a laboratory, and they're raw ingredients, you know, and that it's made in the EU. I'm very cautious about anything that comes from China, for example, with ingredients. And your product bottles, in terms of ingredients, need to have those ingredient listings onto the product, you know. If there's a quality of HEMA, how much is in there, and or if you're talking about HEMA, for example, you want to know what the amount and the percentages. So I think a lot of times you have to check your MSDS sheets as well as your INCI sheets, and make sure that those match up completely with the product's ingredients that is on the listing of the containers. So many nail techs out there will use a product that's got no product ingredient listings on them, and they think that's safe. And then if there's allergic reaction at the end of the day, they don't know where to fall back on. So you have to be able to have MSDS sheets and INCI sheets to make sure that those ingredients listings match, and to see the amount and percentages of what's gone into that product to keep it safe, and if it's regulated or unregulated. But for example, if a product comes from the EU, you want to be able to know that, yes, it got past all the safety data and all the guidelines, and that the percentages of whatever the ingredients are within that product you're using, whether it's gel polish, a gel, or an acrylic, that those levels are safe for use on the natural nail bed and your skin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an issue that has been raised again quite recently. I've seen on Facebook with regards to gel polishes, and some of the ingredients that are in the actual gel polishes that are not matching with regards to, as you said, the INCI sheets and the MSD sheets. And what they're saying is in the product does not actually, it doesn't match. So, you know, yeah, so that's really, really important, you know, because these are things in the long run that can have, you know, harmful effects in various different ways. And also, as you said earlier on, you know, you don't want to be compromising somebody's health or the natural nail as such.
And even, exactly, breathing in methacrylate acid at a high level, you know, that affects your lungs as a nail tech. And over a period of time of breathing that in, you also like your monomer. You don't want a monomer with a high odor. You want a monomer with a low odor as well, so that it protects the health of yourself, not just of your clients. Even the dust particles can affect your health at the end of the day. And people need to be aware of hygiene when it comes to dust even. And even 9 times the corona, the corona can attach itself to the dust. We have to be completely hygienic, even in terms of dust, especially from gel.
Yeah, it's something we spoke about in the webinar that I did on Tuesday, was with regards to the dust that is created, and nail techs working with small dust particles and things like that. It came up when we spoke about the protective screens. Now, one of the things I think to eliminate dust as well, Tracey, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, is that creating a nail enhancement is more about sculpting that enhancement with a brush rather than with the file. I think anybody could just plonk a whole lot of product onto a nail and file it into something. But it's not about that. there is more structure that goes into actually building, engineering, and creating that enhancement. And that's really, really important. Your file should do the minimum amount of work.
Yeah,
you know, if I'm correct on that. So, you know, to look at there's nothing more beautiful than a stunning, you know, sculpted and perfectly engineered set of nail enhancements.
Correct.
What are the most important aspects to look at and considering when you are actually building and constructing a set?
Yes. Okay, first of all, it starts with the client's natural nail, obviously. So it's about looking at the client's natural nail and keeping the integrity of that natural nail. And once you finish that enhancement, you want it to be in balance and harmony of the client's natural nail, which is the first place to start. So we need to look at her natural apex laterally. We need to look at her C-curve and the length of her natural nail bed, obviously. And then setting that form absolutely correctly with a perfect convex. And concave, especially your concave once you've set that form is integral before you even start building it. Once we've built it as well, we want to look at a beautiful constructed nail that has consistency in every single nail. So whether it's when you're placing your upper and your lower arches in terms of building your product correctly and then filing, you obviously want to build that enhancement with a beautiful C-curve. Years ago we didn't pinch, and now we're pinching, and pinching is such a huge part of that whole entire structure of building that nail. And so we're going to build that structure out to look at as even placement of her upper arch in terms of her lower arch as well, that have to be structure. It's all about structure at the end of the day. We want to see a beautiful, nice, thin hairline. And when we're looking at the C-curve, we're not only looking at concave and convex, we're looking at them together. So where the right and the left side of your concave is actually even. If you turn your hairline, your hand upside down and look at the hairline of the lower arches, they must be even. Everything needs to be even. Everything needs to fall into place. Every single length of that enhancement needs to be even. If you're looking at your layers or your parallel sidewalls, or you're looking at it laterally, you want everything to run even. I mean, you know, those lower arches and that lateral sidewalls, and wrapping the product into a client sidewall gives the integrity of the nail at the end of the day, that structure. So she's not going to break it, and it's not going to compromise that nail at all. So I think that's really important. And a lot of people, when building nails, they think the nail is just one-dimensional, when they don't know that, they don't even think about working dimensionally on that nail. So you want to look at that structure from the tunnel view. You want to look at the structure laterally. You know, your upper arch and your apex is purely just aesthetic. That's basically the signature of your nail. But as I said, your upper arch in terms of your lower arch is where the integrity lies too. And you want to look at it from your client's perspective. And so many people don't look at that. You want to look for flat spots. You want to look at if it's fatter on one side, you know what I mean, in terms of filing. So you want to be able to build that nail with the product and the brush. And you pinch it, obviously, and then you just create perfection work with your file. You don't want to just slap the product on and have to file it correctly, because then your structure is out of place. It's all about structure, and that's huge. And your C-curve, just an even, beautiful C-curves that you know, the consistency throughout every single nail, and not just on the one nail that you built. You want consistency in upper, lower arches, C-curves. Yep. And in apex.
I'm sure consistency is key, Tracey. I think in every single aspect that you're looking at on that nail, with regards to shape, length, upper arch, lower arch, as you said, you know, the thickness around the cuticle, balance. I think balance is something that is really, really key and so important when creating nail enhancements. And I think this is also where I think a lot of nail techs sometimes go wrong, is that balancing of an enhancement. What you know, key points can you give with regards to that, and making sure that your enhancement is well balanced out? I mean, putting an exceptionally long nail on a nail bed that's exceptionally short
Yeah.
Is that advisable?
No,
You know,
not
what would you do in that case?
Yeah, we don't do long enhancements on a really short nail bed. I mean, that's just not it. You know, and that's what a lot of nail biters want. They come to you and they want the longest nail enhancement because now
The
they
longer
have
the better.
Yes, but the harmony is there, and it's not, you know, the integrity of the natural nail at the end of the day is also what you've got to look at. And you've got to keep that in mind when building an enhancement, is the integrity of that natural nail. So it has to be in balance and harmony with her natural nail. You don't want to sit there and look from Mars and be able to see the nail. You want something that is sleek, that is even, that is natural looking. And by pinching a product and wrapping that product into those lateral sidewalls, building the product correctly on the nail with the correct mix ratio, and as I said, just it needs to be aesthetically pleasing, and that's the key at the end of the day. You want your client to walk out there looking like she has a beautiful natural set of nails on her nails that complements her hands, complements her nail bed at the end of the day. That's going to bring you more clients than having to just throw products on and then fire us. And it's all about structure. The structure is the key element. So I think it's important when building a nail is to find an educator that knows how to work with structure. I mean, there's so many details when it comes to structure, and in building that, even there's so many details in setting a form. I've got 4 pages of just how to set a form, for example, you know, so we can talk about that. And it needs to be one, and people don't realize that your form needs to be one, and it depends on the length of a nail and whether it's a short nail or a long nail plate, on how you're actually going to set the form. That's where it starts. And it starts there, and then it obviously ends with the filing. But you want it to be beautiful, natural, and sleek at the end of the day. With correct structure, it's not going to break.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that is one way of minimizing all this filing and creating all of this dust, you know. We were talking about the dust screens, and we were saying, are they actually really, you know, protecting you? Yes, they are, but not unless you are doing other things, to a point, as you said, you know, not unless you're doing other things. And I mean, I think now with the whole scare of the coronavirus that has hit us, everybody suddenly now, we must wear masks, we must wear gloves. This is something that is not new to you, not new. I mean, why all of a sudden are we now jumping, or why are nail techs now suddenly, you know, sort of waking up to the how can I say, the seriousness or the need to wear masks and to wear gloves when they're working with nail enhancements, when this is something they should have been doing like all the time.
Forever. Exactly. I mean, all our kids, for example, as long as we've been doing nails, we've all used our 70% alcohol and our stereo trays for all our metal instruments, you know. And a lot, that's another thing I found that we see that's so prominent, is that in education facilities, they don't even teach students, or a lot of the educators themselves don't know the difference between sanitization, disinfection, and sterilization. And that blows me away. And they should have been doing that from the beginning. Like, every client needs a new table towel. We need clean disposable desk towels. We need to disinfect all the hard surfaces between clients. That's the way it's always been. You want to protect the integrity of your own skin and your own health by wearing those gloves and wearing that mask all along. So it's just crazy that people haven't thought about that or implemented it when it's always been around. Thank goodness we've always had it. And now finally, it's obviously sunk into people that are going to have to do it. Even washing hands. How many people wash their hands before they get a second nail? And we make sure that everybody washes their hands with antibacterial hand soap. I mean, they could have gone to McDonald's, they could have gone to the bathroom, they could have changed their baby's diapers, there's a million things and those pathogens are sitting on your skin, and you know that, and viruses, and they can affect you. And people don't think about that. We're putting an enhancement onto a natural nail plate as a breeding ground at the end of the day for bacteria and fungus, pseudomonal infections, you know. So there's a problem there, and maybe in a way the corona has brought out a wake up call for people, because they just think we were being a bit OCD in the past. But I think being OCD is the way to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, you know, minimizing all that dust, but there are other safety things that I think nail techs could be doing besides the screens. The screens are great. We're not saying don't do the screens, do them, but, you know,
Yeah.
make sure that you're doing everything else as well, you know, with regards to wearing the mask, wearing the gloves, and just taking the necessary precautions and reducing that dust. I think the biggest thing is
Absolutely.
about not creating too much dust. And the other thing as well, which is highly advisable, is to have a source ventilation and extraction system in your salons to actually remove dust, you know, harmful dust particles that can actually affect you.
Correct, correct. And we're also lucky in South Africa, whether it's winter or summer, we can still work with the window open and the door open and get correct ventilation into the room, which is really good. And a lot of people don't think of that either. So that's huge. But I think also the disinfection of the hard surfaces and everybody, every client having a clean towel and having a clean disposable towel also restricts that dust. And if you're building the nail correctly from the beginning, you will have less dust because you will have less filing. And correct filing technique as well is hugely important for creating less dust. Also having a good product quality as well, like our acrylic, when we are filing our acrylic or your gel, you want your dust to fall, and that also comes into a whole another whole topic and debate about your dust flying and your dust falling, and that also comes in terms of quality of the product that you're using. In your acrylic, you want your dust to fall, not to fly and not to breathe it in.
Absolutely. And I think that also comes in with your tools. I see many nail techs have you know, blusher brushes or little puffer brushes, and they brush and, you know, brush the dust away off the nails, and all it's doing is just sending the dust straight up into the air, and it's going to have to come down sooner or later, and it's going to be settling on, you know, all your products, your files, your brushes, your work surfaces. It's going to settle on everything. So,
Absolutely.
you know, that is not the way to go. Get rid of those brushes. They cause trouble.
Absolutely.
What can you recommend, Tracey, you know, with regards to sort of dust and things like that?
I teach my students about those blusher brushes in class as well, because I always say to them, do you like the brush we gave you on your table? And they're like, I'm like, no, you don't, because it's not a pretty brush. You want it to more look like a scrub brush, right? Like we have our toothbrushes or our scrub brush. So you want light to be able to penetrate it, first of all. And then you want to be able to wash it in this antibacterial soap and be able to air dry it and put it in sunlight and air dry it. And you want light. So our scrubbing brushes, they develop to scrub and remove dust and dirt. When you have a blusher brush, what is a blusher brush designed to do? It's designed to evenly disperse the powder or the blush or the makeup evenly across the surface of the skin. So what are we doing with the dust? We're evenly dispersing it across our skin. As well as it flies up, you just touch that blusher brush, and as we know, the dust goes into the air and falls down. It's dark inside. And we know that dark places breed germs, bacteria, all the pathogens get bred inside there. So you want to be able to have one that you can see through it, that you can always keep the integrity and of your hygiene in your salon. So my advice is to always try and work better with your product so that you have less filing. E-filing is also really good when you can also sterilize your bits correctly and really get into the hard places rather than just using files. But you need to just keep your whole area that you're working with hygienic at all times.
Absolutely. You spoke about e-filing, obviously electric filing, or as a lot of people will call them drills, which is makes my hair stand up. They're not drills. You buy a drill from a hardware shop. And we use e-files. As professionals, we use e-files. And the training, Tracey, I'm sure you'll agree with me, behind e-filing is also really, really important. It's not just something you can just pick up and use.
No, it's a weapon at the end of the day. You have to have training on e-filing. I always tell students that, so we would never sell an e-file. I would never sell an e-file without an e-file class, which is hugely, hugely important, because, you know, you can cut skin so easily. And, you know, in Europe, you can actually get sued for bodily harm by cutting someone with an e-file. So you need to really know to how to work with it. You don't want to cause scar tissue. And deep brush and manicures as well is causing a lot of scar tissuing around, you know, on your epinicium and your proximal nail fold. And at the end of the day, you just want to have a deep manicure and not be able to go there and emasculate, you know, the person's skin and cause bleeding at all and build up of scar tissue. So you need to really and compromising that integrity of that natural nail plate by removing too much nail plate, by using the incorrect bits. And you need to know what the correct usage is for each bit that you're using, which is really, really important. And the difference between the bits.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, education is key in making sure that you're using all these things correctly. I mean, nail enhancements, what we need to remember, and I think in the past, a lot of people were like, you know what, if I've got a nail enhancement on, it doesn't matter what happens to my nail underneath. However, that has really changed so much, and nail enhancements are not there to replace your natural nail. They're there to enhance, and that is why we refer to them as nail enhancements. Tracey, there are endless possibilities that can be achieved with sculpting, not just to create natural nail enhancements with colors have changed. In the past, you used to just get like, I think, clear. When we first started, there was clear acrylic, and that was all there was, you know, clear powder. But that has changed, you know, through the years with a variety of different colors available now, and the things that you can actually do, the possibilities. I mean, it's amazing when you look at Facebook, Instagram, at what people are doing with nail products and sculpting.
Correct. Yeah, those days we never did anything except clear and classic French. We never ever did reverse French. There was no cover, which is really cool. Now we've got so many in a palette, you know, of our covers where you can create different forms of enhancement, natural look on the nail, which is really, really important, which is really beautiful. And in terms of color and in terms of shaping as well is important. And in talking about that, I think education for shape is hugely important. So like our coffin nails, how many people haven't done, you know, or say I've done coffin nails, but they haven't learned the correct structure of a ballerina nail and pinching and building a ballerina nail correctly, or maybe a stiletto, and you've got these fat, pregnant nails that are already out of their structures, completely out of balance. And whether we're putting color on, our color is always thin. At the end of the day, you want a super thin, beautiful nail, whether it's got color, many textures, many imbibe within that color is really beautiful in terms of doing art. And also using our forms to create 3D structures even, which is really, really fun. In terms of bows or creating 3D flowers, everything has just advanced so much, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, no, it is exciting. And I mean, shapes, I mean, people are doing extreme shapes now.
Yes.
You know, there's no longer just square, oval, round nails. You know, there are just such a variety of beautiful things that you can do with sculpting. Tracey, we don't have much more time left, and I think we could possibly go on for a good couple of hours. I know how you and I can chat. So I just, you know, before we end off, you know, what advice have you got for nail techs, just, you know, going forward, you know, from here? What would you advise them, you know, to actually get to the level where they want to be and take themselves to that next level?
I think their first understanding is to find an educator who's passionate about what she does. There's the first thing, because then she'll allow that student to be passionate about what they do. That's your first thing. The second thing is to be passionate yourself about what you do and know that it's a never-ending process. You always have to advance, you always have to learn, you always have to develop and upgrade yourself continually. And it's not just about going to one class. You have to take yourself through levels of classes and take yourself through that torment of crying, like we spoke earlier, and being frustrated and overcoming obstacles, because that's how you get to learn your products and you get to have product knowledge and you learn about application. It's about knowing how your product works. And at the end of the day, and I think once you're comfortable in your area where you are, leave that comfort zone and go into the next level. And then grow into that comfort zone. And it's always an ever-growing process. But find yourself an educator and an academy with good quality products that have backing, that have supports, that have regulations, that have correct MSD sheets, that match the ingredients in the products. And always remember the integrity of the product, the integrity of your client's natural nail health. And even in terms of pinching, the integrity of learning how to pinch correctly so you don't damage the integrity of the client's natural nail plates at the end of the day. And I think that's all about education. The education is the key. And doing the details and learning, getting an educator that knows the details of the details of the details. They can help you break things into little pieces and build them back up, because that's where your passion will grow. And I think that's what a person has to start. And you cannot learn that on YouTube. You have to learn that in class with an educator.
Absolutely. And to never stop learning. I think that ongoing, you will never learn enough. Things always change. So just keep learning and keep striving to do your best, and just be passionate about what you do. Tracey, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that want to catch up with you. Can they catch up with you on Instagram, Facebook? If you can share with them how they can catch up with you, that would be really great.
Right, they can send me a friend request through Instagram. They can also follow us on the Image Cartel. So our company, our brand name is the Image. So it's the underscore Image Cartel. They can look for us there, or they can catch up with me on Tracey Owgan. They can also follow up with us on Facebook at the Image Cartel Facebook page as well.
Tracey, this has been amazing. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us. It's always a pleasure chatting to you. I always learn so much from you as well. And you're a great inspiration for our industry. And thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's watched us today. Thank you, India.
Thank you, India. Thank you, Sanette. It was great chatting.